Good morning. Will the meeting please come to order? The purpose of the organization meeting is to select city council officers. Nominations are now open for president or city council. Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to make a nomination, but before I do, I want to make a public explanation to the many citizens and some of the members of council who pleaded with me to serve as mayor. As a matter of principle, I have never, nor will I ever, seek, campaign for, engage in self-promotion, or vote for myself to hold a ceremonial office or title. If the majority of my fellow councilmen want me to be mayor, I would be honored and pleased to serve them. Since I cannot promote or vote for myself, I must find a highly qualified candidate for whom I can vote. 2 years ago, I nominated Councilmember Joan Foster to be our mayor. She graciously declined and deferred to Councilman Gillette. Mayor Gillette gave us 4 years of extraordinary service in the mayoral office. Over the past 4 months, Councilmember Foster approached me on multiple occasions and to say how personally significant it would be to her if she could serve a 3rd term as mayor. She asked me to vote for her. Because I would never vote for myself and reflecting upon Councilmember Foster's obvious and deep personal desire and talents, I agreed to nominate and vote for her. I do so on 2 considerations. City Council has lost 2 principal ceremonial officers who have led us over the last 4 years. Additionally, we have 2 new council members, a new city manager, a new interim deputy city manager, a relatively new police chief, a new city treasurer, we'll have a new city assessor, and a new director of personnel. As such, a mayor with prior experience would be very beneficial. 2, Councilmember Foster garnered the greatest number of votes in the last 2 at-large elections. As such, her electoral constituency is larger than any other council member. Therefore, for these reasons and others, I am pleased and honored to nominate and will vote for Councilmember Foster as mayor.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. It is my distinct pleasure to nominate Mr. Randy Nelson for the position of mayor. Mr. Nelson has consistently advocated for our citizens using his keen intellect and honed logic while continuing to be open and approachable. His commitment to our city is evident, as is demonstrated by his lifelong service to our citizens, whether it is in his law practice, mentoring youth on the soccer field, or on this dais. He is well respected in our community, and I believe there is a strong desire to see him as mayor. The mayoral role is not a position which is deserved, it is a position which is earned by demonstrated competence, having an unassuming demeanor that inspires confidence, and the wisdom developed through experience. Mr. Nelson, as you have heard, has not asked for this position, but he has clearly earned it. The mayor needs to rise above the small arguments and see the whole. The mayor knows when to end debate and how to develop consensus. Our city needs to look to the future. We are a vibrant city with significant potential for growth and some equally significant challenges. Ms. Foster served as either the mayor or the vice mayor for 8 consecutive years, starting in 2004, when the city was divided. At that time, the city needed her, and she served admirably in that role. Now, over a decade from when she first assumed a leadership position, our city has evolved. As we look to the future, our city needs new leadership, the leadership provided by Mr. Nelson. Each of us needs to ask ourselves, in our heart of hearts, who is the person most capable of being our mayor? Who should lead this council through the transition and the administration leadership? Who's focused on the whole of our city? Who is most competent in managing the flow of debate? Who maintains an unassuming demeanor and inspires confidence? Who has the wisdom to navigate the complex issues? Who does this city need for the future? I submit to you that Mr. Nelson is the leader for this time, and I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting Randy Nelson for mayor. Thank you.
Are there any more nominations from the floor for president for city council? Hearing none, a motion is now in order to close the nomination for president.
Madam Clerk, I'll make a motion that we close nominations.
It has been properly moved and second. The nomination for presidents have been closed. The deputy clerk will now call the roll to close the nomination for president.
Dolan?
Just say yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Helgeson?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Pero?
Yes.
Tweedy?
Yes.
Wilder?
Yes.
The nominations have been closed. Please circle your ballot for president of city council and pass it to the right.
Is this debatable? Is this a debatable?
No, you just circle one.
You don't debate? Parliamentarian, this is a debatable, not a debatable motion, but it's time for speaking.
I think now that you've closed the motions, there's no, after all nominations have been made, the presiding officer closes the nomination processes and opens the floor for discussion. After discussion, the presiding officer shall call for the vote.
Okay, thank you. Call for the vote, presiding officer. You know, it's interesting hearing both of those nominations, and both of those nominations are fabulously well thought out, well reasoned, very insightful. I appreciate the dedication that both of you put in writing those, and the wisdom and the thought as far as what we can do to come together and to move forward. I've casted my vote based on those motions, and I do hope that we can move forward collectively together for the best interests of the city, because as Councilmember Pero said, we do have a lot of changes here. And we do have some challenges ahead of us, and it's going to require insight and intellect. And so I do appreciate both of your nominations. And so thank you for that, gentlemen.
Do you have 7 ballots?
Yes.
The deputy clerk will now read the ballots.
Councilmember Pero votes for Nelson. Councilmember Helgeson votes for Nelson. Councilmember Nelson votes for Foster. Councilmember Tweedy votes for Foster. Councilmember Dolan votes for Foster. Councilmember Foster votes for Foster. Councilmember Wilder votes for Foster.
Councilmember Foster has been selected as president of city council. Congratulations. Nominations are now open for vice president for city council.
I nominate my colleague, Councilman Randy Nelson, for vice mayor.
Madam Clerk, I have a nomination.
Yes.
I do want to thank you for that nomination and the confidence that it reflects. While I would be honored to be your vice mayor, leadership is not best measured by a ceremonial title. It is not measured by whether one stands in the spotlight on center stage, and it certainly is not measured by positive words. Leadership is best measured by one's actions and examples. In this sense, everyone can be a leader. Many of you who now sit with me at this dais had election campaigns that praised the virtues of inclusiveness and diversity. Inclusiveness and diversity has been my theme. If we are to be faithful to our words and demonstrate leadership, then we must back our words by our examples. Inclusiveness is not the same as ethnic or cultural diversity. Inclusiveness embraces ethnic diversity and cultural diversity, but it is so much more. The ultimate goal of inclusiveness is to maximize the plurality of competing ideas and thoughts. That is at the foundation of America's principles of constitutional representative democracy, e pluribus unum. Inclusive leadership cannot exist if the voices of leadership are singular and without criticism. City Council now has a very solid majority of members who often act in concert on even the most contentious issues. That is a positive fact. It's positive if different ideas can find unity. But in these times, I think it's also beneficial if City Council's ceremonial leadership team includes a voice that offers reasoned and courteous expressions of different ideas and perspectives. We criticize Washington politicians and call upon them to show statesmanship. How convenient for us to call for statesmanship when our calls expect others to show it and we have nothing in stake if they do. It is far different if the acts of statesmanship must be made by you, and you do have something at stake. Thus, my principles call me to show statesmanship, and with my nomination as vice mayor, I do have something at stake. Councilman Turner Pero has provided capable leadership as chairman of the Physical Development Committee. When Councilman Pero's perspectives did not prevail in day-to-day council decisions, he still gave his earnest support to the will of council's majority and showed a true team effort to accomplish that will. Councilmember Pero's character, his civility, and professional abilities qualify him to be vice mayor. Therefore, to demonstrate leadership by example, inclusiveness, and statesmanship, I nominate and ask each of you to vote for Councilman Pero as vice mayor so that you can fulfill your campaign pledge to promote inclusiveness. And one final point. It's been clear to me from the messages I've received over the last 24 hours that if I am a candidate for vice mayor, then I will be giving 4 of my fellow council members a very convenient justification to not follow my argument for inclusiveness. So to be faithful to my principles of leadership and statesmanship, I declare that I am not a candidate for vice mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more nominations from the floor for vice president?
Madam Clerk, I'll make a motion that we close nominations for Vice President of Council.
I have a question. If I really want a little more clarification. That council member, it hasn't been second,
No, it hasn't been second.
and so therefore, I'm hoping I can have a question for
After I
clarification.
do the
If somebody
second.
seconds
Okay.
it, then
And then
it's...
you can do questions.
Okay,
You
thank
want a
you.
second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Now, discussion.
Okay, if Councilmember Nelson has clearly declined that he doesn't want this nomination, therefore, if there are any other nominations that should have been stated ahead of time, or can it be stated at this point? We have not voted to close this nomination process.
Correct, you can continue to have nominations.
Because we have new members here, and this is a new process to them, and I'm making sure that there's clarification.
There
in
is
this
a
matter.
pending motion to close, so you need to vote on that, and then from there, you'll know where you stand, whether it's closed or if it's still open for additional nominations.
Because I did ask for other nominations from the floor.
Of which none were given, and I made the motion, which is under parliamentary procedure, it's in due order to close.
So if we close the nominations, let me make this clear, then we would vote.
On whether to, on the motion to close the,
Just to close the nomination.
correct.
Then no one else could be nominated for vice mayor?
It depends on what,
Our vote now is to whether or not to close. So
Exactly.
we can vote to keep it open
Yes.
with a no, and we can vote to close it with a yes.
Correct.
So if we
Yes.
want to
Thank
keep
you.
it open, then we will vote no.
correct.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
And one last comment or question. Now, because somebody has declined they're still on the ballot, and anybody can vote for whoever else they want regardless of somebody being nominated, correct?
Your procedures don't address what happens in that situation, and right now, Robert's Rules of Order doesn't apply because you have your internal procedures. So by a majority vote, you could make the decision about how to proceed if you have somebody that has declined to accept a nomination.
But I guess the question is, I mean, somebody could vote for anybody on the ballot at any time.
That's
Because you have a duly noted ballot, anybody could vote for them,
That's-
whether they be actually nominated or not.
That is correct.
Okay, so the motion is to actually close nominations, right? Got it.
Close. You said not to close.
No, I think we need to take a vote. Yes, sir.
We got it, yeah.
The The deputy clerk will call the roll.
On,
I think now that you're going to be, do you have you have a second on the motion, so now you would debate whether or not you're closing
yes.
the nominations? Okay, so there's no debate, okay,
I mean, one person said something, I said something, and that was,
okay.
Well, I'll call the roll to close the nominations.
Yes.
Yes, vote yes or no.
yes.
Yes, for the close the nominations. If we got more yeses than nos, then we'll have another nomination if so desired. Okay.
No,
You have to say yes.
The other way around.
no, that's not it.
Okay.
The yeses will close the nomination.
A no will keep the
No,
nomination
okay.
open.
Off to a good start.
So I'll call the roll.
Okay.
Dolan?
No.
Foster?
No.
Helgeson?
Yes.
Nelson?
No.
Para?
Yes.
Tweedy?
No.
Wilder?
No.
The recording shows that it's no, we will keep the nominations open for vice president. So are there any more nominations from the floor for vice president?
Yes, I would like to nominate my colleague, Ms. Tweedy.
Is there any more nominations from the floor? Seeing none, the nominations for vice president is closed.
Don't we have to close them by motion?
Yeah, we got to close by motion.
Move that the nominations be closed?
Second?
Harrison. Nomination for vice president has been closed.
Need to vote.
Roll call, vote.
Roll call.
Dolan?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Helgeson?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Para?
Yes.
Tweedy?
Yes.
Wilder?
Yes.
Please circle your ballots and pass them to the right. Deputy Clerk will now read the ballots.
Councilmember Tweedy votes for Tweedy. Councilmember Nelson votes for Para. Councilmember Dolan votes for Tweedy. Councilmember Helgeson votes for Para. Councilmember Foster votes for Tweedy. Councilmember Wilder votes for Tweedy. Councilmember Para votes for Para.
Councilmember Tweedy has been selected as Vice President of City Council. Congratulations, Councilmember Tweedy. Our duties is over with. I will now turn the gavel over to Joan Foster, our mayor.
First of all, thank you very much for coming. As you can see, politics are not boring in Lynchburg, but it's a great day to be alive in Lynchburg, and I feel that way. And I want to quote one of my fellow former mayors, Jimmy Bryant, in that regard. And my plea is that what happened here today happened here today, and we move forward to continue to move our city forward and work together collectively to celebrate the things that are wonderful about our community and tackle together the things that are a little challenging. So thank you again for coming out. Thank you for your interest in local government. That's where the real things can really happen. And you can see me in the grocery store tomorrow and let me know what you think. If you think we need to keep moving certain things forward and we haven't thought of it, I will share it with every one of my council members. I look forward, Councilmember Nelson, with working with you for the next 2 years. Vice Mayor Tweedy, I'll have to get used to that. Councilwoman Dolan, Councilmember Helgeson, Councilmember Wilder, and Councilmember Pero. I look forward to the next 2 years, and thank you for the trust of handing this mayorship over to me. I'll treat it as a very precious gift that has been given to me again. Thank you. We're not quite adjourned. We will be adjourned until July the 12th. Council meeting will meet at that time at 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Y'all need to give me the seats that you'll be sitting